Crowley police say 35-year-old Devin Jones was playing video games with 16-year-old Tavion Swindle. According to the arrest affidavit, during the gameplay, words were exchanged commonly associated with smack talking. Jones then pulled a gun out and placed it against Tavion's chest, and the firearm discharged, striking Tavion in the chest. Police say this all happened in Jones's home on the 1200 block of Celeste Street in Crowley, and also say Jones left the home with the gun and got rid of his cell phone all after the shooting. I spoke to Tavion's mom briefly over the phone, who tells me Jones is actually related to her son, which was not expressed in the police report, and also claims Jones was the one to call 911 after the shooting. We also spoke to Michelle Morgan with One Safe Place, which is a crime prevention agency.
Based off of what we know at this point in time and what the family has told us, it doesn't really fit that sort of pattern.
Morgan admits there are still a lot of unanswered questions about what led up to the shooting.
From a crime prevention standpoint, that now we have this tragic death of a 16-year-old that could have been preventable. And we just didn't manage a conflict in the family.
Tavion's mother says she called him Tay-Bug, and he was a big teddy bear. She also says he was a star football player and had dreams to either play in the NFL or be an engineer. Tavion was a student at Southwest High School in Fort Worth. The principal says counselors will be available for students and staff who are grieving.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Got a story for y'all today coming out of Fort Worth, Texas. And shout out to everybody in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, this story here is very tragic and it's sad. You got a 35-year-old man and a 16-year-old young man. A family is mourning of the death of a 16-year-old teen, and they are investigating the shooting. Now, he was shot in the chest by a 35-year-old man due to smack talking while playing the video game. Yes, a 35-year-old man playing the video game with a 16-year-old. Kind of odd, isn't it? Now, this happened around like 1 p.m. on a Sunday. Now, many thoughts may come to your head when you think about this. 35-year-old man, maybe he's off on the weekends. Maybe he has a job. Maybe he don't have a job. Maybe he has some other things he could be doing other than playing the game on a Sunday morning with his 16-year-old. So many other things this 35-year-old man could be doing. Now, I expect the 16-year-old to be in the house playing the game at 1 p.m. on a Sunday. But this 35-year-old man had some garbage on his mind. Police confirmed that they have a 35-year-old man by the name of Devin Jones. He's in custody and he's accused of shooting a 16-year-old young man by the name of Tavion Swindle. And one more time, I want to send my condolences out to the family because this here is truly tragic. During an argument while having smack talk about a video game, Jones then pulled out a gun and placed it against Tavion's chest. And then the firearm discharged, striking Tavion in the chest. So this man pulled out a gun on a 16-year-old young man. He's 35 years old, and the young man is 16 years old over an argument over a game. Now, I can understand sometimes playing the game, things can get a little heated sometimes. Me growing up as a young man, a young teenager, me and my friends used to smack talk to each other all the time. It even still happens today because you got a lot of people online that are on these games with the PS5, Xbox, or whatever. They're online smack talking with each other all day long. And I don't think nothing of it because that's what young men do and young ladies do growing up while they're playing the video game. Smack talk is part of playing the game. I'm better than you. You better than me. So on and so forth. So this man pulled out a gun and shoot this young 16-year-old young man in the chest for what? For what? It don't matter if that 35-year-old man was getting beat or not. He had no business at all pulling out the gun and shooting this young man in the chest. Now, there's a lot of suspicion when it comes down to this story. First of all, why is the 35-year-old man at the house playing the game with this 16-year-old and the mother was not at home? And another thing is, Where was the father? I will get to that a little bit later. So many things come to your mind when you think about this. Why? Why? Why in the world was he at this home with him by himself anyway? Now, Devin, the grown man, the 35-year-old man, Devin Jones, he called the police. He called 911 and told them. Now, 35-year-old Devin Jones had reportedly tried to hinder the investigation by throwing out his phone and the murder weapon. He was charged with murder and tampering with evidence. Good. Lock him up, throw away the key. Do not allow him to ever get out ever again. Very senseless. Very senseless. Now, Tavion's mother said his nickname was Taybug and Teddy Bear. She also say he was a football player. As you can see in this picture right here, this guy's pretty tall, and it looked like he could have been the next NFL player or somebody that's striving in college. Could have got himself a scholarship and did good for himself in life. She said he was a football player who dreamed to play in the NFL, and he was also wanting to become an engineer. I don't see nothing wrong with now one of those. Now one of them. He had a plan A and a plan B. Plan A was to play in the NFL. Plan B was to be an engineer. I think that is a very great field to take if you do not thrive in or strive in football. That's very good. Now, Tavion's mother said, now Tavion's father, now this, don't we get back to the father now at this point. The father said he does not even know the man, but he do know that his son visited Jones's house multiple times. What in the world is really going on? Seemed like it's a very unstable environment to me, if you were to ask me. I don't know if the mother was at work or what was going on. I don't know if the father was in this young man's life or not. I don't know what the deal was or what was going on. All I know is this 35-year-old man had no business at 1 p.m. on a Sunday in the house without the mother there, without the father there, or whatever, playing the game with this 16-year-old young man and pulling out a gun and shooting him in his chest for no particular reason at all. Now, they said the argument was over smack talk. We don't know what was going on. We don't know if this guy had this young man involved in some criminal activities or selling drugs, or they were doing drugs, getting high with each other, smoking weed or whatever. We don't even know. But in the affidavit, it said it was over a video game. Now, I know a lot of stuff like this really do happen a lot when it come down to somebody playing a video game, somebody get upset. Now, we had one time that a Chinese man was playing a video game and he traveled from one place to another. He caught the plane to go meet somebody with an axe because he was upset about whatever they had going on with a video game. You do have people out there that are very serious about these video games. Some people are so serious about these video games, they care more about these video games than their children. They care more about the video game than themselves. I have not ever played Madden that was that serious. I never played an NCAA that was that serious. I never played Tekken that was that serious. I never played not one video game that was that serious. I can't remember. Even Temple Run. Y'all remember that game, Temple Run? On your iPhone or your Android or whatever. Y'all remember that game? Pretty good game. Then you had, what's that one with that guy that be on that bus? I can't think of it at this time. But this is truly tragic. Parents, know who your children is hanging around with. We know that there are a lot of unstable households around America each and every day. We know this. Very much so. There's a lot of unstable households. There's a lot of mothers that do not care who their sons or their daughters are hanging around with. You got mothers out there. I remember growing up, I seen a mother allow her young lady, her young daughter to be exact, to go out with a grown man. And I said, how in the world is this young lady able to go do this? And I looked at the mother and I looked at their living conditions and I looked at what was going on around wherever she stayed. And I understood why, because the mother was dysfunctional. The father was not in her life, and it was just a big old chaos. Take care of your children. Know what they're doing. Don't be letting your child go down the street hanging out with Jimbo or Sarah Lee. Don't be letting your child go down there because you don't know what's going on in that house. And don't be allowing company to be. Now, I know when a parent go to work, they don't know what's be going on in the house. That's why I say put some cameras up around your home so you can see what's going on the inside of your house. But try to protect your children as much as possible from people like this. This is a 16-year-old young man that lost his life. I guarantee you for nothing. I guarantee you for nothing. There was nothing that this 35-year-old man could have been that heated about that he could not walk away from it. A 16-year-old dude, he need to get life in prison. He does not even need to get out ever again. And I stand on that 100%. Does not make any sense at all. But mothers and fathers, be a part of your child's life. Because if you don't, you can wind up giving your child to the streets just like this. Now the father had to sit back and grieve. Now the mother has to sit back and grieve. I don't know how their relationship was between their son, the father or the mother. But they failed. Somebody failed somewhere. And I know sometimes you can train up a child and you can raise up a child and they still go left instead of right. Sometimes that does happen. You can be the biggest preacher in town, hooping and hollering, hitting flips over the pews, running up and down the aisle, biting off of the pews and throwing holy oil all over the place, and raise your child up in the church house and try to make sure you keep them on a straight and a narrow path, and they still wind up going down a path that you did not teach them. They can still wind up having children without being married. They can still wind up being a thug. They can still wind up being a hoe. They can still wind up being all of this type of stuff, even though you have taught them just right. But you have a better chance by teaching them right, because they will remember. They will remember the rightness that you are teaching them. They can always go back and fall back on that and be like, man, I remember when my mama or my daddy told me this. I remember when Coach such and such told me this. I remember when Miss such and such told me this. It'll come back to them. So you will be better off by trying to teach your child and train them up in a great way, other than allowing the streets to have a hold to your child. Because the streets does not care about you or your child. It don't care about nobody. It don't care. As you can see in this story here, 35 years old, 16 years old. This dude should have been teaching this young man how to be a young man if the father was not in this young man's life. Even if the father was in this young man's life, he should have been an example to this young man instead of sitting somewhere at 1 o'clock in the evening on a Sunday playing the game with him. Leave a comment and let me know what y'all think about this. This is truly tragic. It's senseless. It's garbage. And it could have been prevented. I'm glad this guy has been charged with murder and tampering with evidence, because this guy knew exactly what he was doing. It was premeditated. If he was that heated, like I said earlier in the story, this guy could have walked away, walked out of the house and went on by his business. Like the video, as you can see. Like. share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Y'all have a good one, and y'all have a blessed one. And let me know what y'all think about this story here. Until I see y'all again on the next story, y'all have a good one. Y'all have a blessing. Watch over your children and protect your children. Holla at you.